today in another French car. My friend is the owner of several French cars. He wanted me to review all of his cars. And so here you are with me today in the Xantia, the Citroen Xantia. Now this is an interesting car. It's interesting in a way that not many people actually know about it. Those who know, they know. They know what this car is. And what is this car most known for? Well, back when this car came out, it came first place in the Moose test. What is the Moose test? The Moose test is kind of like a safety regulation test where they make your car swerve to avoid an obstacle, such as a moose. And this car came first place, which is really impressive. Because, do you want to guess what the second place was? The second place was the 911 GT2 RS, a hardcore, basically track car that's made road legal. So how the heck did this family saloon come first place in the swerving test? All thanks to the Hydro-pneumatic system, which over the years Citroen sort of perfected, you know. This car, the Xantia, I think is probably the last Citroen that uses the Hydro-pneumatic system with the green fluid. So you could also say that this Xantia is probably one of the last, if not the last, quirky Citroens ever made. Because the car that replaced this car, I think is the C5 or the C6. And since then, Citroens have been less and less interesting, at least from my point of view. So, now that I've driven two hydro-pneumatic cars, one from the early days and this one, the final rendition, how do they differ? Well, after a lot of fine-tuning, they've basically made the hydro-pneumatic system behave like it's not there. So it's not really a standout feature of the car anymore. When you drive the CX-20, you are constantly reminded by the fact that everything in the car is powered off the hydro-pneumatic system. But when you drive this car, you don't feel it. It's doing its thing, like the steering is part of the hydro-pneumatic system, but it doesn't feel weird like it did in the CX-20. This feels like a normal hydraulic powered steering. It's got good weight. Yeah, it feels good. It doesn't feel special or different. The brakes is still pressure sensitive, but it's not as crazy as the CX-20. This feels a lot more intuitive. Now, what strikes me the most about this car is its ability to corner. Wow, this thing corners really well. And all thanks to the anti-roll system, which made the Xantia come first place in the Moose test. Last week, my friend and I, we took this car and his 405 MI16 to some local B roads, very tight sections, lots of corners, and I was really surprised by how well this car cornered. It cornered much better than the MI16. It had a lot more grip. It stayed flat all throughout the corner. Yeah, this car is actually quite surprising. One thing I have to say though is the lack of power in this car. So the Xantia came with several engine options, okay? And this one is the 2-liter S16 engine, which also found its way into the 306 GTI 6. When used in that car, that became a hot hatch. But when used in this car, you can barely feel it. This engine is numb and smooth. It does its job, but it lacks character. There's not much power. Nice. Last week when we were driving it, I couldn't tell when to shift based on just listening to the engine. You'd have to look down and look at the tach and see, oh, it's already 6,000, I have to shift. You kind of forget to shift, which kind of reminded me of driving the RX-7, because the engine note of the RX-7 is just so monotonous, and this is kind of similar. Monotonous? Monotonous? How do you say it? There's no power, absolutely no power. I don't know how it manages to feel even slower than the CX-20. That car has a single cam. It's carbureted. This thing is 16 valves. There's a dual overhead cams, and it feels so slow. Maybe it's the mass. Sorry, I didn't do my homework. I actually don't know how much this car weighs, but it feels really slow. But if ever you find yourself in the twisties, this car can reel its way up to pretty much any hot hatch. It has superb cornering stability and loads of grip. I recall my friend saying that the tires on the 405 are better than the ones on this car. But on the twisties, this car still cornered faster and flatter than the MI16 with the XE doing. So to prove that, I'm trying to take you guys to a section of road where it's just a series of S-curves, and hopefully I can demonstrate, oh, DB11, hopefully I can demonstrate how flat this thing corners. The only time that you are reminded of the hydro-pneumatic system are when you press the brakes. It makes a hissing sound. It goes psss, and it continues to make that sound as you hold the brakes. I don't remember the CX-20 doing that. Maybe I'm wrong. And the other time is when you start the car up, or when you start to load things onto the car, it is constantly trying to level itself. So you'll see the car just moving up and down, which is kind of cool. The comical feature of the CX-20 was that when you turn the wheel, it would come back to recenter itself, even at stationary. This car doesn't do that, which, to be honest, I think is a good thing. I like how this car feels like a normal car, but underneath it's special. Yeah, it's a very soft-spoken, quirky little car. I hope we can have the V6 V6 version because that engine sounds so good. But I don't know if the V6 ever came with a manual. Not sure. But this manual is actually quite sweet. Good, nice, very crispy shifts. I'm flooring it. There's absolutely nothing. Look at how that... Oh, this thing corners like a boss. Jesus. Unbelievable. And this is after spending the whole day with my Mitsubishi Evo 7. I was blasting around in that car for 3 hours in the mountain roads. Let's do that again. Absolutely no power. Look at that. It just grips and grips. So much freaking grip. Okay. Let's not be silly. Speed bump. Yeah, my experience with these hydro-pneumatic systems, they don't react the best with speed bumps. Apart from speed bumps though, this car is so comfortable. Honestly, this is one of the most comfortable cars I've driven. Just everything about it. It's quiet, the seats are nice and plush, the seating position is designed in a way to make you feel more relaxed, you know? Oops, sorry. Been driving the Evo. And so, you're not supposed to be beating on this car. The cabin is pretty quiet. Materials are very nice. They look like they will last forever. Unlike on the 405, it's just made of chintzy black plastic. This is actually pretty sturdy stuff. So I find myself a little bit conflicted when I drive this car because its handling capabilities are so high, but it's so underpowered and so comfortable that it almost feels like this car has a dual personality. I know you're supposed to drive this car just being calm and being smooth, but when you know you can corner faster than all the other cars around you, you kind of want to do that. When you want to pull yourself out of the corner, there's nothing really to pull you out. There's no power. I like the hissing. The hissing is like, it's a very soothing sound. Just going, psst, go to sleep, psst. And when you drive it, like the way it's meant to be driven, I have no complaints about this car. Absolutely no complaints. Do I miss the power steering? Do I miss the hydro-pneumatic steering feel of the CX-20 when I drive this? No, I absolutely don't. This is a lot more instinctive, intuitive. Oh, I should probably talk about the interior. I love it. It's such a basic design. Everything easy to see. It's all black and dreary, but I like it. I love how they hide the radio. Why don't what cars do this. Come on. This is good design. All cars should do this. So when I like a car, before I get home, I like to take the long way home. Just want to do a few more minutes in it so I can gather my thoughts. I never thought I would be seriously interested in owning one of these things. And when you're just relaxed, just rowing through the gears, this gear shift is excellent. It's like slotting the gears in. You can feel, yeah, it's so nice. I'm not even going fast. This is probably the slowest I've driven down this road. But it's still enjoyable. People always say, do you prefer slow car fast or fast car slow? Well, this car is slow car slow. And there's nothing wrong with liking that. Slow car slow. I have a friend who drives a 190e. He drives it slow. And he's living the life. He loves it. Listen to how quiet this engine is. When I hopped into this car the first time, after driving the 405 Mi16, I did not know the engine was on. It idles so quietly and very smooth. With the AC off, it's almost silent in here. Yep. Thank you. Thanks for watching.